What's up, Spencer here with Handlebar Labs. Today I wanted to quickly walk through how to make a list of content that's broken up into sections, easily and efficiently scrollable. So if we look at what I've got here, you can see I've just got a few tasks, both new ones and completed ones, and they're broken up into sections based off of whether they're new or whether they're completed, and we can scroll through this list. Now, the way I've currently got this set up is by using a scroll view in which I basically just map over my new tasks and I map over my completed tasks, and I just have this section. This works fine right now, but as the number of items you have in your list grows and as things are changing, especially when things are changing, a scroll view may not be the most efficient option because things might render more times than necessary. There's just more to kind of keep track of and re-render. Now, an easy way to fix this or change this is to use what's called a section list, which is a core component coming from React Native. So all I'm going to do is import section list from React Native, and then all we're going to do is just create this new section list right above our existing scroll view. So we can just go ahead and say section list, and then there's a few key props that we need to actually pass to this. There's a host of things we can do. If you're familiar with a flat list from React Native, basically all the props are the same. There's just some minor differences. So first off is actually getting the data to it. And that's going to go to a section list via the sections prop. And that's going to be an array of data that are going to represent each section. And each item in that array is going to be an object. And from here, we can go ahead and start passing our data to it. Now, title, basically the only prop that you need is going to be data. And data is going to be what's used to actually render the items inside of the list, just like it is with flat list. So in this case, it's going to be our new tasks and then our completed tasks. Likewise, we want to go ahead and add a title, which is just what we're going to use for our section titles, which is going to be completed tasks and new tasks. So I've got an error over there because we don't have all of our required props. Next thing we need to add is a render item, and render item is going to render each one of the items in our data array. Now, render item is going to take a function that returns a component. So inside of here, we're just going to take these rows that we had, and we'll go ahead and paste those in here. We can go ahead and get rid of the key because we define the key for an item a little bit different in a section list and flat list, which we'll get to in a moment. But now we need to replace task with item. So item is actually coming from the first argument passed to render item, which is going to be a object. And you can go ahead and destructure that because all we care about is actually getting item. And item is just going to be the name of each item inside of this array of data. So that gets us closer. Next, we want to go ahead and add our render section header. And that's going to do the exact same thing as the render item, just with the actual section information. So we can go ahead and grab our little section header component here, and instead of this new task, we're actually going to go ahead and get the section.title. And just like item, section is going to come from the first argument of the render section header function. And again, we can use object destructuring to get section from there. Now, if I save this, we'll actually go ahead and comment out the scroll view because we're not using it. You can see it looks exactly the same. It functions the same. It functions almost the same. Scrollable, all of that. We can see down here we've got a yellow box warning that we don't have a key, and we're using a section list to be efficient, so we want to make sure we actually specify a key for this. So to do that, you can go ahead and use the key extractor property or prop on a section list. And again, this is a function. The first argument to this function is going to be item, and then we can just go ahead and return an item.id because in this example, each item has a unique ID. So if I save this, you can see it looks exactly the same. We don't have any warnings. Now you may be noticing a little bit of a difference here of how the new task and completed task is showing up. What I'm going to do to actually demonstrate this better is to just add a few more tasks to both my new task list, as well as my completed task list. So we'll go ahead and save this. And now when we scroll, you can actually see the section header sticks to the top. And this can be really convenient because if you've got a long list of data, for example, on iOS, an instance where they do this is in the Contacts app, where each, basically the letter of the first or last name is a section, and that's how it's sorted. And as you're scrolling, say you have a lot of A names, you can keep that context so you know you're in the A section as you're scrolling. And then as you go on, the completed task will actually go ahead and take over the previous section header once it reaches the top and there's no more of that content there. So that's a really convenient thing. With the section header, you can go ahead and turn that off if that's something you don't want. But if you have sections of data that you want to render in a single list, single scrollable list, section header or section list from React Native is a great option to do that.